I wanted to add a bit of context for all of you. You may recall the cargo tank vapor recovery program went through a rule amendment in the 2018-2019 timeframe. And during the rule amendment workshops, we discussed the creation of an update to the database, the cargo tank database. That is something that we are prepared to share with you today, and that is the purpose of the presentation. So I'm going to pass the mic back over to the manager so that they can introduce themselves and their staff, and then we'll have another opportunity at the end of the webinar to address any questions that you may have. Thank you again for your patience, and Tony, the mic is back to you.
Thanks, Tina. So I want to say good morning to everyone. I really appreciate your patience and taking the time out of your day to meet with us. So my name is Tony Zhang. I'm in charge of the equipment registration section, and I'm the manager of the group. And I also oversee the cargo tank vapor recovery program in the enforcement end. And I'll pass now it over to Alfonso for his introduction.
Good morning, all. My name is Alfonso Rambula. I'm the section manager for the citations and hotline section, and we're responsible for the processing side of the cargo tank vapor recovery program. I'll send it off to Sam.
Hello, all. I'm Samantha Aguila. I'm an air pollution specialist that works under Alfonso Rambula with this certification aspect or portion of the program. Thank you for being here today. I'll pass it over to Brad.
Hi, I'm sure a lot of you know me, but for those who don't, my name is Brad Shaw. I work under Tony Zhang as a field inspector for the cargo tank vapor recovery program. Up next is Giovanna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Giovanna Moran. I'm an air resources technician with the citations and hotline section.
All right, sounds good. So we want to thank you all for joining us. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started with our presentation. So Sam, go ahead and kick it off.
Okay, so for today's presentation, we will go over the following agenda items: background of the cargo tank vapor recovery program, an overview of the cargo tank data management system, the user roles within the cargo tank data management system. We'll then launch a poll for all of the attendees just to get a feel for what company types you all own or are part of. And then we'll go over the in-depth demonstration of the certification process in the CTDMS, or the cargo tank data management system. Then Brad will take it over and provide an enforcement overview, and then we'll end with a question and answer session. Next slide, please. So the Cargo Tank Vapor Recovery Program is an annual certification program requiring any cargo tank that hauls gasoline within California to be tested annually for vapor tightness. The certification of vapor recovery systems on cargo tanks regulation was initially established to reduce toxic air contaminants like benzene and to reduce volatile organic compounds which form smog, also known as ground level ozone. So the program certifies more than 6,000 tanks per year, and the certification process is administered through the new cargo tank data management system. The cargo tank vapor recovery program is split within two sections of the citation and registration enforcement branch. The cargo tank enforcement is within the equipment registration section, and the cargo tank certification is in the citations and hotline section. Next slide, please. To provide a brief overview, the program has a 4-step certification process, which requires the cargo tank owner or tester to notify CARB of an upcoming test via a 48-hour notification. This gives enforcement staff the opportunity to be present and witness the test. Once the test is completed, in accordance with the testing procedure, the test results must be submitted to CARB. If the test passed, the owner will then submit a certification application with a certification fee that will then queue CARB staff to process the certification and issue a decal with a copy of the certified certification. The tanks are then required to place the decals on the tank, which allows for enforcement staff and loading facilities to verify the certification status of a cargo tank. Next slide, please. So the purpose of today's meeting is to provide a comprehensive demonstration on the new cargo tank data management system, which I will refer to as CTDMS, and walk you through the various components of the system. So to provide a little background on the CTDMS, this system was needed to address several issues with the old legacy system, which included, but were not limited to, security concerns, limited data collection, and inefficiencies with the certification process. After developing a new solution to address these concerns, the new CTDMS was deployed on July 1st, 2024. CARB has made a user guide for the CTDMS publicly available on our Cargo Tank Vapor Recovery Program page, which is linked at the bottom of this slide. For your convenience, we will drop a link to the user guide into the chat of this Zoom meeting, which Giovanna has just shared. Thank you. So CARB has made, the CTDMS offers new features such as enhanced security, an enhanced 48-hour notification process, fee invoicing, an in-system payment portal, complete data, cargo tank history, and ad hoc reporting. Next slide, please. So there are 4 distinct external user roles in the CTDMS. Each of these roles varies in access and permissions depending on the company type. For example, owner-operators can submit 48-hour notifications, certification applications, and pay the certification fee, whereas the tester companies can submit the 48-hour notifications and test results. Today, we will go through an owner-operator and tester role, which this particular role is for companies that typically self-test their tanks, to give a walkthrough of more components in the system. We're now going to launch a poll for all of the attendees here today so we can get a sense of what company type roles will be most relevant to today's demonstration. We'll provide about like 1 minute for you all to respond. So please feel free to select your company type. So you should see a poll that says, what is your company type? And then the 4 roles that we had just covered: owner operator, tester, owner operator and tester, for those of you that self-test, and terminal operators. And once we get a little bit more responses, we'll go ahead and share those results just so we get a feel of what information is going to be most relevant during today's demonstration. All right, so it looks like most of the attendees are owner operators, some testers. So we are intending to go through an owner operator and tester role, which has the capabilities of both. So we'll go through how to submit test results and the applications. So that should be relevant. And then we do have also a terminal operator. So we can go into the terminal operator role at the very end of the presentation, should time allow, if that's okay. All right, so let's get started. Next slide, please. So if you join with your laptop or computer and would like to follow along with this demonstration, please go to the link that is displayed on this slide. We will now drop in a link to this website into the chat just so you can easily click and access the website. So this should bring you to the screen depicted on the slide. Please let me know if you need assistance getting to this website before we begin. So today I will cover the following topics: how to create a company account and updating company details, how to add a sub-user, how to report a cargo tank, how to submit a 48-hour notification, test result, and certification application, and the necessary steps to update that information, generating invoices and paying the certification fee. And lastly, I'll show you how to access the PDF certification document. And please let us know by raising your hand or putting in chat if you need any assistance with accessing the reporting website. And we'll just give you a moment to get there to that website before we begin. We'll give you a couple minutes, and as you all get set up, I will go ahead and pull up the website on my end. I will share my screen. Okay. Okay. So the first thing we would like to demonstrate for you guys is how to create a company account and establish a new account. So we will do that by, okay, so once you're at the website, which is cargotankdms.arb.ca.gov, you will see the screen. And if you would like to log in or register a new company, you'll go to this blue button on the top right-hand side. Click that. If you're creating a new account, you will select register a new company. And then you will be required to fill in all of the fields with an asterisk. Bear with me as I fill in this information. So the FMCSA CT number is for tester companies. So whether you self-test or are just a tester company, you will be required to provide this DOT issued tester number.
Hi, Sam. Are you intending to share the screen with the audience? Because regardless if they're following or not, because I can't see it. And
Oh.
others that may not have it, they can't see it either.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
We can only see the slide that shows how to access the CTDMS.
Oh, strange. It's showing that I'm sharing. Can you see it now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So let me just start that demonstration again. Sorry about that. So once you get to the website, the reporting system, you'll see this blue button on the top right-hand side. You will click that. And then to register a new company and create a new account, you'll select the second button, register a new company. And then you'll fill out all of the fields that have an asterisk. Those are going to be the required fields to establish an account. So bear with me as I fill in this information. And as I was just explaining, the FMCSA number is a DOT issue number for tester companies. And that is a required field if you are a tester or an owner operator tester company type. Okay, so if your mailing address is the same as your physical address, you can check this box and it'll auto-populate the address entered on the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And then you'll want to validate the addresses. This will ensure that we have a valid address on file where we can send decals and the certifications to. And then next you'll fill out the user information on the bottom portion of the screen, and this will be the login information for this initial account that's being established. And this will establish a super user, which will have more capabilities than a sub user in the account. So once you have registered the company, you will receive an email. So for the sake of showing you what that looks like, I'll go ahead and open the email. So the account I just established had the user Samantha. The email will come from Carb Admin from a no reply email address. And then you'll see a button that says Activate CTDMS account. So many times we will get issues with this button working if saved data, like saved usernames and passwords, have been stored on the computer if you have logged into a different Okta account. So I would suggest right-clicking on this button and opening the link in private or incognito. Sometimes it will say incognito mode, and then opening it that way. Oh, and since I already had a session open, it may not work, but let's see if I go back to sign in. Okay, so it did work. And then you would just continue with the steps for establishing your password. And be sure to retain this password because this is what you will use moving forward to sign in. Okay, we'll give it a second because it needs to establish the account. So if it brings you to this screen and you don't see an icon that says Cargo Tank DMS, go ahead and refresh your screen. You should see this icon. It does take a while for the system to establish the profile, which may cause a lag there. Okay, so we're in the new account. So once you've established your company information, you can go into My Company to review that information. And if you ever needed to edit any of these details that have a pencil next to them, these are the editable fields. We're currently having an issue with the edit feature or function, which you may have experienced, but we are aware of the issue and working to repair it. But this is how you would go in there and edit information in the future if needed. So I might, yep. And so I'm getting this error, which like I said, we're aware of that. So we're working to fix that. It should be fixed in the near future here, but these are the steps to update that information. Okay, so next, once you have established your company details, if you would like to create a new user account for someone within your company, and you'd like them to have access to the company account to either add a tank, submit 48-hour notices, test results, or applications, you can add a new user, specify the new user's name, and then enter in their email address, which they will be required to verify their email address the same way we did when we initially established the account. And save that. And so now the system notifies you that the user was created successfully. So then we will go back into the email and you'll see, hi, Susie. So it looks like the system did send the activation email. So in order to establish that sub-user account, the sub-user would need to activate it following the steps that we previously followed to then set up their password and open it probably in incognito, which would prevent any saved information from creating it or causing issues with logging in. Okay, so those are the steps you would take. I'll go ahead and I'll just activate it. But it would require that I sign out of this to do that. So as I'm doing this, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or put your questions in chat, and we would be more than happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Just want to clarify that I believe the chat is closed. You'll need to place your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of your toolbar in Zoom.
Thank you for that clarification, Alfonso.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the sub-user. They don't have the ability, sub-users do not have the ability to add additional users. So if you're adding sub-users to your account and you would like them to have the same permissions as a super user, I would suggest just contacting CARB staff to add those users for you, because we do have the ability to assign them that role as well, if that's ever needed. So just for the sake of displaying the limitations of the sub-user role, I just wanted to log into that account. So we'll go back to the other account. Sorry. There's a lot to see in here. Okay. So this was the super user account we just established. All right, so once you have your company and your users established, you would then be able to add a cargo tank. We do also have this feature to create subsidiary companies. This is in the case that you would like to establish a parent and child connection between you and another company. So the steps to do that are essentially just reporting the details of a subsidiary company here the same way as when we registered the initial company. So that is a feature in here. We haven't seen any companies utilize this, but if you're interested in reporting that parent-child relationship, this is the way you would do that. And did anyone have questions regarding that feature, subsidiary companies, what they are, or anything related to this component of the system? And I can't see chat, so give me 1 second so I can open that for the Q&A. Okay, so I see registration number beginning with CT on our paperwork, but it's okay. So I think Ron was maybe asking about the FMCSA number. So the FMCSA number, that is a DOT issued number for anyone that performs pressure tests on cargo tanks. Brad may have some more information about the specifics about where you can get that from DOT, but I will pass it to him later in the presentation to provide that. Okay. So it looks like there's no questions about the subsidiary feature. Okay, so we'll move on to how to report a cargo tank. So this is a newly established account. In order to report a cargo tank, you would go to tank management and then select cargo tanks. This will bring you to a list view of all of the cargo tanks in your account. Since this one's new, there's none in there yet. And then you'll click this new button on the top right-hand side. This will allow you to then report cargo tank details. And for the date of manufacturing, we understand that there is not always a specific date. So if that's the case where you only have the month and the year, please select the first day of the month, and that will be sufficient. And then it will also be required that either the serial number or VIN number are reported. So it can be an either or, but if you have both pieces of information, feel free to add both. And then these capacities for each of the individual compartments do need to add up to the total capacity that is listed at the field on the top. And if it isn't, for the sake of you all seeing this feature, it will not allow you to proceed. You also do have the ability to record leasee, leaseor information should the tank need to go in between two accounts. Sometimes we see a need for that. So if that is something that is needed, you can record that information. Here. And that would help us with making those changes in the future more seamlessly. And then since this is the first time that this cargo tank has ever been reported, you will not be required to upload your DMV related documentation, but if you would like to, you can select DMV related document, and that basically just proves that you're the owner of the vehicle, and then it'll be on file for us. And then you can then click submit. For the sake of this demonstration, I'm just going to submit it without. So here it throws the error that the capacities do not match the tank's capacity or the total tank's capacity. So let's go ahead and fix that. And then click submit. All right, so the tank's now reported. And now you would be able to initiate the certification process. So like we had mentioned previously, it's a 4-step process that starts with the 48-hour notification. So you can submit the 48-hour notification 2 ways. You could either select this new button on the right-hand side of your screen next to where it says 48-hour notification. There's also a menu option here at the top of the screen that says 48-hour notification. So you can create a new notice by selecting this new button on the top right-hand side of the screen.
Sam, really quick.
Yes.
There are a few questions in the chat when you're done with this demo.
Okay. All right. So once you enter in the CT number, details regarding the company and the cargo tank should auto-populate. And then You can add in all of this relevant information. And then the test date that you select should be 48 hours or more in the future. So for example, I can select 2 days out from 10:30 in the morning. So let's say 11 a.m. That's going to be the earliest I can submit a test date for. And then you'll see that there's this movable pin. So if your facility is large and you'd like our inspector to have more information, accurate information of where the test will be performed, you can move this to a specific location. And then include any notes that would assist our CARB staff to access your facility. If there's a gate code or any obstacles that you would like them to be notified of, you can include those notes in this area here. Okay. So once all of this information is filled out for the 48-hour notification, the test date and location looks correct, you'll click review. It'll give you one last opportunity to review the data. If you need to go back and edit anything before submitting, you can click edit and it'll allow you to make the necessary changes. But if not, you'll click submit. And that will create a valid 48-hour notification that is now viewable to CARB staff. Okay, so let me go ahead and pause here and see the questions in chat. Okay, so we have a question from Kendra. If my user profile was migrated from the old system and the name that's associated with my new profile is the old user ID and not my name, is there a way to update it? Yes, there is. There would be a way to update that information. So in terms of your user profile, you can click here. If you, I actually, let me see. I know there's a way that we can edit that information for you. Oh, here it is. So you would edit profile. It'll require that you log in again. For security purposes. And then it'll have you verify the email before making any changes. You'll get a verification code. And then you would be able to, oh. Click edit, although. So this feature should allow you to update this information, but it looks like it's not currently working. So in the interim, what I would suggest to do is just to call us or email us, the cargo tank staff, and we'll be more than happy to assist you with updating that information. There is a way to do it, and we can definitely handle that for you on your behalf. Okay. So I found we have another question in chat about insufficient access rights on object ID. So that is a known issue, as I had previously explained. The company details when you attempt to update this information, there currently is an issue. but we have notified the appropriate IT people, so hopefully that will get resolved shortly. But in the meantime, if you would like to email us that information, we do have the ability to do that for you. I hope that information helps, Ron. Okay. All right. Okay. So we have gone through how to submit a 48-hour notification. So in the instance that, let's say that you weren't able to test the tank on the 14th anymore, we need to reschedule it to another date. As long as it's more than 48 hours out in the future, you would have the ability to make those changes. You would be able to do that by selecting the edit button. It should open the record. And as long as the date is at least 48 hours out in the future or more, you can change the date, change the time, and submit those changes. And the system will update with the new date. So we have all of that accurate information. If it ever happens that there's like a small detail where you need to make an update to, let's say, a name that you had included on the 48-hour notice or a phone number, you can contact us and we can make those changes without changing the date on the notice, if ever necessary. But if they are changes related to the date, time, or test location, those changes need to be made at least 48 hours ahead of time. Any questions there? Nope. All right. So the next step in the process is going to be submitting test results. So I'm going to go ahead and log into an account where we have some data queued up. So much like submitting the 48-hour notifications, you will be able to submit the test results 2 different ways. So the first way that you will be able to access the test result screen is through the cargo tank view. So you'll go to Tank Management, Cargo Tanks, and then to view all your tanks, you can select this drop-down menu so you're not limited to just recently viewed. And then you can see the status of your tanks. And so, for example, this one has a 48-hour notice for a test that was conducted on, let's see here, on the 8th at 10 a.m. So this one has been tested and we're going to now submit test results for this particular unit. So we'll be able to either access it by creating new test results from the view on the right-hand side of the screen, which this right view is available not only on the 48-hour notification, but on the cargo tank level. Okay, so just so that you can see the view I'm talking about, I'll pull up the tank. And you can see there's this heading that says CT test results and this new button to the right-hand side of it. Okay, so there's the right-hand view where you can initiate the test result submission, or you can go to the menu for test results, and then you'll also see a new button. So if you select that, both of these options of how to access this form will display the exact same form. So the process is the same. You'll enter in the cargo tank number. It'll auto-populate the details from your company account and the cargo tank. And then you'll enter in the test date, the test time. Select date here. And test results. So for the sake of showing a successful path, we'll enter in passing test results. You can also upload testing documents if you'd like to include them. So let's go to test doc. And so the testing documents are not required at this step. But if you'd like to upload them, there is a feature there. It looks like, so we're aware that this feature was having some issues. So we did notify our IT department of that as well. But this is a feature that will be available in the near future. So once you've validated all of the test results that you're submitting, you'll move forward and proceed to sign a penalty of perjury statement or document. Occasionally you'll see this content is blocked. Contact the site owner to fix this. If you just wait a moment and give the system a second, usually it will load, but this is again another issue that we're aware of and looking for a solution so that the lag isn't so long. Okay, so the penalty of perjury statement essentially has you sign a statement showing that the information, the relevant information for the certification is accurate and correct. And these details include the date, the time, the CT number, as well as acknowledgement of the testing procedures that were followed, the accurate test results that resulted from the test, as well as the location. And so you'll check if all of that information looks accurate. You'll check the boxes and sign the document. And you should be able to then sign. And click sign. And so that is all you need to do. The document will close and the system will then save a copy of the signed penalty of perjury document, which you'll see by hovering over the document. You'll see one of these has dash signed on it. So one version has the signature that you attested, and the other version is just the statement of the document with none of the boxes checked or signatures recorded, just for your records. Okay, so once the test results have been submitted, these are passing test results, but let's say, oh, I made a mistake. This was actually a 0.1. So the way you would go about correcting this is clicking this edit button at the top right-hand side. And then you'll go ahead and select all of the other information that has remained the same. And make the appropriate edit. And then you'll upload the testing document. As I had mentioned, we do know that there's an error. It's like uploading, but not quite saving the uploaded document to this update request. So since this is a required document, in the interim, as we work to resolve this issue, we would still need a emailed copy of the document to be sent to us in order to make any updates, just in the interim until we get this issue corrected. But once it's corrected, you'll be able to upload the files on your own. And once they have been submitted, it'll queue for CARB staff review. And we'll be able to then check that any updates that were made to the test results are consistent with the uploaded documents. But like I said, for now, just email us the testing documentation and we can not only upload, but make the changes for you. All right. And so now that we have some passing test results in the system, the next step is to apply for a certification. So there's two ways to go about this. Again, you'll have the view on the right here at the test result level or the cargo tank level, and you'll be able to select new here, or you'll be able to go to certification management, select the menu option for certification applications. And then you'll see the new button available on that view as well. You'll then enter in the CT number. The system will auto-populate all of the details from your 48-hour notification as well as from your test result document. So if all of that information looks correct, we'll go ahead and submit. But if you notice, oh, okay, I entered in the wrong CT number, you can click this edit button at this step and still change it. But if it's the right CT number, we'll go ahead and submit the application. And the system will notify you of the certification fee that's due. If you click OK, it'll take you to the pending payments view. So if you decide not to pay right away, if you want to pay like the following day, or if you wanted to pay by check, you wouldn't have to necessarily continue through these steps, but I will show you how to proceed with generating an invoice and paying through the system. So you would be queued, or you will be brought to this pending payments page. So if you select this option, it'll bring you to the same screen if you ever needed to reroute to the screen. And it'll show you any application that still has a certification fee that's due. So right now we only have one item that needs to get paid. But if you had multiple items, you would be able to check multiple applications and generate one invoice that includes multiple items. And then you would click that generate invoice option. It then creates a printable invoice so that companies can print these out and keep them on file if that's ever necessary. And then if you're ready to pay, you'll go ahead and click this Pay Now button. So once you select this Pay Now button, it'll route you to our third-party payment page. It'll auto-populate with details from your company account. But if any information on this top portion of the form needs to be updated, feel free to do so. And then the reference number will be a locked field, as well as the amount due. These will have to, well, they're locked so that the reconciliation does not have any issues. But let me go ahead and enter in the company name. So I would enter in a card number, expiration date, complete this CAPTCHA. And if everything looks correct, I'll click submit. And once you click submit, do not hit the refresh button or you will be charged 2 times. This is just an issue with the third-party system, but you'll just want to wait until the system gives you a message. It'll either give you a green strip at the top of the screen that says transaction completed successfully, or a red strip at the top of the screen that says transaction decline. And it will then reroute you back to the account. I do not have a credit card on me at the moment, so I'm not going to make this payment. But I will go back and I will pause. It looks like we have some questions coming through.
So Sam, there is a question from Mary Hilliker. I apologize for this, Mary. I tried to get further clarification to better respond to your question, but it appears when I did that it answered it, and then obviously it wasn't answered because I was asking you a question. So Sam, the question from Mary is, the current PDF of the certification is not accepted by all load points. Will this be updated? Mary, if you could, it would be great if you could give us a little bit more clarification about that. Is it that the printed version of the certification is not being accepted?
Can we unmute Mary?
Yes, Mary has the ability to unmute and speak.
I'm sorry, it must be coming from one of my colleagues, the question. I did not ask that question, so somebody else from our company may have. If somebody wants to speak up.
So KM is Kinder Morgan, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so. Oh, go
So if I can interject real quick, Sam, sorry. I have heard of a couple different loading racks, having some resistance to this. And usually by the time I hear about this issue, in order to give the loading racks a call and tell them that this is a legit certification, it usually works out on its own before I have to be proactive and call the loading rack. I haven't heard of any that are still not accepting the certification. If there is any that are still not accepting the certification, it's only hurting them, but I will be proactive and call them and even visit their facility to let them know that this is a valid certification from CARB. And, you know, if they're turning business away, that it's only hurting them.
Okay. Thank you for that, Brad. All right, so we will follow up on that issue with Kinder Morgan. Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. That looks like the only other question. So looks like we have another question from Kendra. If my user profile was, oh, wait, I already answered that one. Let me see here. If there's any others. So Kendra, it looks like you had a question about the payment portal. So the address and the company mailing address or the billing address for the credit card holder, yes, it should be the billing address for the credit card holder. So we understand that that's not always consistent with what's imported, so that's why those fields are editable on the payment page. I hope that assists. Okay. And I think that is all of the questions that we have gotten so far. Otherwise, you may have received responses via chat. Okay. So let's move on. So Once we have a certification that you've paid it and CARB staff has been notified of the payment, and we go through the necessary steps to approve the certification, what do you guys do to access that cert? So the way you can get to a cert is by going to your cargo tanks list again, viewing all of your tanks. You'll see that the status has changed for a tank that has been approved by CARB staff to a certified status. So if you were to click on the tank, you would then be able to access your certification document on the right-hand side of the screen. You'll see in the documents area that there's a new file name called CTVR certification document. This will be your certified copy of your certification. So you'll click on that, and then you'll see this PDF icon, and this will open the doc. And this will have all of the details related to the information that was imported into your certification application. And acknowledgement, a statement was signed. So that's just acknowledgement of the penalty of perjury that was signed. So you'll find that information on the cert as well, along with the certified copy seal from CARB. All right. So that is the certification process. That is how you would complete it through the new CTDMS. I guess I will hand it over to Brad at this point, if we don't have any questions. Awesome. Thank you.
Sam, I'm gonna bring up the presentation. If you could stop sharing, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. I'd like to start by reiterating what Sam already discussed when submitting a 48-hour notification. Please put any information that an inspector might need to access the location in the certification for the certification. In the notes field, there have been times when an inspector could not reach anybody by phone and had to cancel a certification due to not knowing the gate code to access the facility. This notes section was specifically created for that purpose. Share my screen real quick. Also, as Sam shown prior, when adding your address, the pin drops automatically on the map. This pin is adjustable, much like when ordering an Uber or Lyft. You can move it around the map. Thus, if you're having a large facility and the certification test location is not at the physical address marker, you can move the pin to the actual location. Again, if I'm unable to find where the actual location is, because I show up at where the address is and I can't reach anybody by phone because the certification's happening over here and I'm over here. I'd hate to see it canceled if the tester and the tank are over here and I was just unable to locate them. Alfonso, if you could pull that back up, please. When a CARB inspector comes to witness an annual certification test, they will be doing everything on a tablet now versus the paper form they used prior. In fact, all CARB inspectors' field paperwork has gone digital in CTDMS. When the inspector observes and records the test results in CTDMS, you will no longer need to submit test results like you normally would. Additionally, when the inspector is on site, they will correct any missing or incorrect information in CTDMS about the cargo tank. Thus, when the certification document is generated, all the information on there will be correct, preventing any issues at the loading facilities. Next slide. CTDMS will also have an impact on drivers. They will no longer need to show CARB staff copies of CARB certifications due to expired or missing decals. CARB inspectors will be able to instantly look up any cargo tank while at the loading facility. Additionally, CARB inspectors will be able to do inspections on cargo tanks and correct any missing or incorrect information in CTDMS while not disturbing the drivers. Unfortunately, if the CARB inspector does a random pressure test, this will still delay the driver 5 to 15 minutes once they finish. What's different now is that all the testing information will be contained within CTDMS. Thus, once the cargo tank is pressure tested, it will not be tested again for a period of a year or longer. Before now, we've never been able to look up prior testing history. Hearing a driver state, you know, my truck was tested 5 months ago, was never able to be verified before. And now we'll have all the prior testing history at our fingertips, and we'll be able to move on to another unit. Next slide, please. As Sam showed you earlier with the little cat box, the CAP program provides companies the ability to self-assess their own equipment while at loading facilities to ensure compliance with CARB regulations. It's a collaborative effort between CARB and industry, allowing investigators to focus on companies who are not being as proactive. For a company to participate in the CAP program, at least one employee must be currently certified. Our online TP 204.2 training course meets the certification requirements. Certification lasts for 3 years. Companies must assemble and maintain their own testing equipment and nitrogen supplies. Test kits consist of a vapor cap, compressed nitrogen tanks, and 2 mechanical pressure gauges. Companies must self-test 25% of their fleets annually and submit records to CARB. There's no cost other than buying supplies to participate in CAP. If anyone has any questions about CAP, please contact me following this webinar. Next slide. Earlier, someone had a question regarding the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration CT number. That number is required by federal DOT for anyone who makes repairs to cargo tanks. They also list pressurizing a CT as a reason for having a Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration CT number. That's a federal requirement, not a state requirement. Therefore, all testers should have FMCSA CT number. If they're in order to legally change out, even just a PV valve, a gasket, or just to pressurize a CT. Again, this is a federal DOT regulation, not a state requirement. Are there any other questions about CTDMS?
Brad, if I can interject, so it looks like we had a question in chat from Ron. I don't know if it's Ron or Christy, but just asking about change of ownership. So there is a process to change ownership or add an existing tank that has been previously reported in the system. If that's okay, I'd like to demo that for you all, just because I did not do that. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. Okay. So in order to, let's say that a company has recently purchased a cargo tank from a company that had previously reported the tank in the cargo tank system or data management system. So if that's the case, you would be able to go to tank management and then select add existing cargo tank. So this would allow you to do a change of ownership within the system if the tank was already reported. So let's say you have the CT number. You would be able to enter just the CT number and it should find the tank. Or you also have the option of searching by, let's say you don't know what the CT number that was issued was. You can enter in the serial number and manufacturer or VIN number and manufacturer, and that should find the same tank. Let's say you didn't know if the tank was in the system or not. As long as the details match when you're adding it as a new tank, the system will notify you. So let's just, for example, take the details of a tank that's been reported before. So this one was other, and serial number and VIN number match a tank that was previously reported. As long as the details are accurate, the system will identify the tank as previously being reported. So I don't think it's the match actually only has to be the serial number and manufacturer. That's how duplicates are identified in the system. So let me go ahead and demonstrate that. So the system says existing tank found. So even if you don't use that feature that I had just demonstrated, the add existing tank menu item, you can, if you're adding it as a new tank and details match something that's already in the system, the system will identify that for you. Just so that you're not creating duplicates and the history is tied to the tank of how many times it's been certified. We can view that on our end. Which is all like relevant information. And if there's a current cert, the certification is valid for a year. So even if the tank is sold 6 months after it's certified, there's still a remaining 6 months of the certification. So it will follow the tank, not the owner necessarily. Although once you select the tank and go to the next screen, it will require that you upload ownership documents. So you'll go ahead and upload your title or your registration. And once that document appears as uploaded, you'll go ahead and click on this button that says change of ownership. And then you'll get a message that says success, change of ownership request has been submitted successfully and pending with CARB team for review. And that will essentially queue up for our staff to review the document that you uploaded and make sure that the owner matches who's requesting the change. And if all of that looks correct, we'll approve the change and that tank will then appear on your cargo tanks list once that has been completed. So there is that change of ownership process as well. Just wanted to cover that since I forgot to do that on the first go. Do we have any other questions? Anything else we would like to discuss?
There is a follow-up.
Yes. Let me see. Okay, my question is, I can get to this. However, the company name at the top left cannot be edited by me. So it looks like I am trying to change it to Polar Service Center. I'm a little, okay, so top left, let me go ahead and view.
Can you share your screen, Sam?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I can. So sorry. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I think, actually, let's do one of these recent ones that I just added. Okay, so you're essentially stating that when you, okay, I guess I'm a little confused here. My question is, I can get to this, the company name at the top left cannot be edited by me. So it looks like I'm trying to change it to Polar Service Center. I'm a little confused by that. Do you mind unmuting Ron Overacker so I can get a little more clarification on this issue? Okay. Well, I don't know if we're having issues with unmuting here.
Sam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, this is Christy. I think a few of us logged in under Ron's link because we all had a bunch of questions. I think it was actually Kaylee that was asking that question.
Okay.
But I think what she's trying to say is when we go to enter under tank management, we go to enter a new tank for a customer, it automatically puts us as the owning customer. And I think what she might be trying to figure out, I could be mistaken, but I know I've had the same question, is how can we put them as the owning customer? Does that have to go through you guys every single time, even though we are entering it in as the testing company?
So not through the official channel, like you could technically add the tank under your ownership since your company is a manufacturer, is that correct?
No, what we're trying to do is like when we go to do like a 48-hour notice on the test or on the tank, but we have to enter it in as a brand new tank.
Oh.
It's a brand new tank, but it's already been purchased by our customers, so we want to enter it in the system. For example, this Polar Service Centers is doing the testing for the customer, but the customer just purchased a brand new tank and they are Gemini. So when we go under tank management and try to enter it in as Gemini's tank, it pops up showing that it's Polar's tank. And then we find ourselves having to reach out to you guys to get it updated.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we now do require ownership documentation to do any change of ownership. So yes, you can, if it's a new tank, you can report it and then submit your documentation. Or actually, it would be the new owner that would submit the documentation using this feature here. Does that make sense? Otherwise, if you want to do that work on their behalf, yes, it would have to be via email, just because right now we do not have a feature where you can specify a different owner other than the account that you're logged in as.
Okay, yeah, I know we were previously able to do that, and with your guys' new system, we haven't been able to. So it's been kind of a, I know, not only speaking for myself, but it's been kind of a pain
Okay.
dealing with it, waiting for a response, waiting for somebody to answer the phone, just so we can get the 48-hour notice submitted and, ready to test it as soon as that 48 hours hits.
Okay, you know, what we'll do is we'll record this concern and see if we can find a solution to this for you.
That would be great. I mean, I know there's other ways around it. We're just trying to think of, you know, the quickest way possible for us to enter this information and then get the customer going.
Okay.
Hey, Sam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
This is Ron Overacker. For some reason, everybody's questions are coming under my login, and my questions are going on Mary's login. I'm not sure why that's happening. But
I am not sure either. Let's see. Did you have a question, Ron?
you answered it earlier. It was about the certifications not being allowed at all the load points, especially Kinder Morgan. That was
Okay.
my original question.
Okay. So it looks like we did have that general response that if anyone is running into any issues with loading racks not accepting the new certification documents, please let us know, and we will definitely do the outreach to coordinate and communicate these updated certifications to those various loading racks or loading terminals.
Well, I think last week we just had, and Mary Hilliker, correct me, but I believe it was Kinder Morgan in San Diego that would allow it.
Yep. Okay. San Diego location. Okay. I will note that and we will definitely connect with them. All right. Anyone else have any questions? Or any other features you would like to see in the system? All right. I don't see anything. Okay, well, I will hand it off to Tony to close up the meeting.
All right. Thanks, Sam. We really appreciate everyone joining us today. We hope that you have found this useful and informative. I just wanted to let everyone know in attendance that this is also being recorded, and once we're done with recording, we will upload this to the CTVRP webpage so that you can view along with the slides. And so with that, I wanted to pass the virtual lecture over to our branch chief, Martina Diaz, for some closing thoughts and words.
No, I just wanted to say, sort of reiterate what I said at the beginning, and that is, you know, it has been a while since we connected with the larger group for this particular program, and if you are a program that or a company that has been overseeing cargo tanks for some time, you likely don't recognize the management faces. So Tony, I've been here for 4 years managing this program. And then Tony has been the manager for this program for the last year. And Alfonso has been the manager for the last couple of years. So we're relatively new management team to this program. And then the database development in state service, it takes us some time to get through a variety of different approvals, agency approvals and external approvals to get to move forward to then secure the funds, and then secure the contracts. That's probably a lot more information that you needed to know, but I thought it was useful because it has been some time since we last met with you, since the rule was amended. So I wanted to thank you again for your time and for being here. And I also want to thank the staff that has put this together, Alfonso and Tony and Sam, Brad, and Giovanna and others that have helped and put this together, because it does take some time to be able to get this information that is complete and accurate and as thorough as we could. We hope that even though we launched the database in July, and my staff has been working diligently in answering the high call volumes that have come in, especially post the launching back in July, that all of you found this information that was presented useful for you and for your teams. So I don't have any other questions other than if you feel that there's other information that you want us to come back to industry with and have like a once a year, for example, type of webinar where we revisit not necessarily new features in the program, but meaning regulation updates, but features in the program like the database, if that is something that you are interested in learning some more or have like a refresher webinar, maybe in a year from now or so, please let Tony know, let Alfonso know, let us know, and we will work internally to make that happen. So with that, I don't have anything else other than thank you for your time. Tony?
No, that's all, and really appreciate it. And I see some questions asking if we can get this presentation emailed to us. I will go ahead, and I know that the Zoom call, we do have a list of all attendees who attended. So we can I'll have that email to you, and also we'll have that posted onto our webpage at the Cargo Tank Vapor Recovery page shortly, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Apart from that, I don't think I have anything else. So really appreciate your time today, and I hope we'll go ahead and end this webinar. And I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good one all.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
all.